Good evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session here Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, same time every single week. It's an open forum. You're welcome to ask any kind of question that you would like, and I will try my very best to answer them. Whether you want to talk about things in the state of Utah, real estate, maybe even things about the United States. If you are joining us from another country, glad to answer any kind of questions about the United States. State of Utah, northern Utah, and southern Utah. Cold front came through. And northern Utah saw some snow, especially in the higher elevations. Along the valley floor areas, close to like the freeway, I-15 saw very little snow. But the mountains received some snow. Ski resorts are happy. The ski resorts are really, really happy. There's a difference between man-made snow and natural snow. If you're a skier, you really want that natural snow. And typically this time of year, they'll get a little bit maybe. Well, most ski resorts try to open for Thanksgiving. Ski resorts are starting to open now. They are very appreciative of it. But so typically they'll get some snow and they'll have to make their own snow. But the way we're going right now in the higher elevations with the snow, it's fresh powder, man-made, not from not snow, it's made from a machine. So there are ski resorts actually that do not make snow, like Powder Mountain. It's a great place to ski. No snowmaking machines at all. So if you're an avid skier, someplace like Powder Mountain is just great. But there are years too at Powder Mountain where they just don't get the snow. So it does suck up there that time. But when they receive snowfall, that's beautiful, especially when it starts to melt in that. There's a difference. There is a difference. Anyways, so that's where we're at in the state of Utah. Of course, just like around the country, election fever here Tuesday evening. State of Utah voted Republican. They reelected Mike Lee. That was the big race that we had going on here. Mike Lee against Mr. McMullen. And Mike Lee won. It was a very tight race. The polls had it very, very tight, neck and neck. But when the voters turned out, Mike Lee had a huge lead over Mr. McMullen. So, and Mr. McMullen was independent. But he got a lot of money and it was coming from the Democrats. So some people felt he was more of a Democrat because he was receiving money from the Democrats, but to run his campaign. So that's what's happening in the state of Utah. Red fever throughout the state. A lot of red. And that's typical for the state of Utah. We're a Republican state. As long as I know, we predominantly have always voted Republicans most of the time. We've had a couple of Democrats from time to time. But in general, we typically vote Republican. Things happening in the news. So our main airport in Utah is Salt Lake City International. Flights all around. You can take flights around the world. They even have like nonstop flights if they're still going. But at one time, you could do nonstop flights to Heathrow and to like Paris. But we have two other airports in the state of Utah. We have an airport in Ogden, and we have an airport. Actually, we have three more. There is an airport in St. George, and there's an airport in Provo. Breeze Airways, which is a new airline. They've been out for a few years. They are calling the Provo Airport home. they are expanding their flights. Business has been good for them, so they are going to expand their flights. So out of the Provo Airport with Breeze Airways, you can fly to Hartford, Connecticut, Charleston, South Carolina, Las Vegas, Orange County, California, LA, California, Orlando, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona, San Bernardino, and San Francisco. So they have expanded their flights. So basically, if you need to take a flight from this northern Utah to most cities in the West Coast, like Phoenix, LA, Las Vegas, maybe not the Northwest, but you can go with Breeze Airways and not go to Salt Lake International Airport. So I personally have never flown by Breeze Airways, but I'd definitely be curious to look into it. So another option, if and it's expanding. Ogden has Allegiant Air goes into Ogden. I believe they do flights to Phoenix, Arizona. I think that's the only location they go to is Phoenix, Arizona. But Allegiant Airways does go to other cities, of course. But I think out of Ogden, they just run a flight down to Phoenix. So as I was talking about the snowfall that we received in higher elevations, we are sitting at our current Utah snowpack level is mid-December level. So we are way ahead of schedule. We have been in a drought. Call it what you want, global warming, et cetera, but we are getting our moisture this year so far. Now that could all shut off in January, February, and December, who knows? But for now, we are running at about December levels for this time of year. Right now, they say that is hundreds of a percent higher than normal for November. Typically, we don't have this amount of snow and water stored in that snow until we get into the first or second week of December. So we're way ahead of schedule. We just hope it continues through the winter months. I mean, I hope that we get more snow in December, January, February. So would be great. Would be really great. We need the water. We need the moisture. We are cutting back as a state. There have been a lot of measures. You see a lot of people going to taking out the grass, putting in desert landscaping, rocks and small trees and et cetera, that is going on. I actually drove by a Costco and they had grass out front and they had grass around the back of their building. Out front, they've already changed it to rock. And I noticed they had a little tractor out there. It looks like they plan on putting desert landscaping in the rest of it. I'd be curious to know on a new one. There's a new Costco opening up in Logan, Utah. And I'm kind of curious what they're going to do for landscaping, if they're just going to go desert landscaping. Elsewhere, if you have driven on I-15 towards Las Vegas, there has been a lot of road construction. Pretty much once you get out of St. George, Utah, down into Mesquite and that stretch pretty much through part of Arizona down into Mesquite, Nevada. A lot of road construction, a lot of road construction. Well, they are saying that they hope to be done with that construction by Thanksgiving. So there has been some delays. I was just on that road last week. We popped down to Vegas and went to SEMA for a couple of days, and there was delays through that section. Yep, delay. Going down and coming back actually. So, but that road construction, it's been going on for a long time. I think the last time I went through was like back in February timeframe, and there was construction going on then, and it was delayed too. But it's supposed to all be done by Thanksgiving. So, people in Utah who are driving south towards Las Vegas, you know, Joe, what are the best towns for families to live in around Salt Lake Airport? Well, right around Salt Lake Airport, pretty much zero. Around the airport for quite a distance is a lot of commercial development. A lot of commercial development. I mean, a couple areas or a couple popular areas. North Salt Lake is very popular. An area called Foxborough in North Salt Lake is very popular. I have a video on my channel on North Salt Lake, and you can see some video of the Foxborough area. That is very popular. One of the main reasons a lot of people like Foxborough is you have two freeways right next to you. So you have Legacy Highway and you have I-15. So you're kind of in between the two freeways. If one freeway is a little bit jammed, or you could take another freeway, maybe one freeway gets you somewhere quicker, but it's very close to the Salt Lake Airport. So a lot of people who have to fly out of town a lot really like North Salt Lake. North Salt Lake is in what we call Davis County. Davis County has one of the best school systems district-wide for state of Utah. So that's very popular for if school systems is also important on your list. But that's a very popular area right there. North Salt Lake area. And so it'd be real close to the airport. Wow. What is the worst city in Utah and why is it Provo? Okay. You're saying that Provo is the worst city, I'm assuming? I would not say it's the worst city. I would say if we were talking about the worst city everybody's got their own definition. Some people would maybe say some of the rural cities that we have because there's no amenities. You have to drive for hours to go to a doctor, to shopping, Costco. But for me, my definition would probably be some of the cities that have the higher crime rate. Crime rate's very important to me. I like to live in a safe neighborhood. So I would imagine that any of the cities that have a high crime rate would probably rank in my opinion. So have you seen car tire prices rising in the US? No, not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen any articles on that. Now, with the inflation in the United States rising, just about every product has been hit by inflation. So no doubt tire prices have gone up. Car parts, wood, lumber, home improvement items have all seen increases. Whether or not tires have been a little higher than some other commodities, who knows? Do you have any of your own tire manufacturing there, or do you import? Wow, great question. In the United States, well, in the state of Utah, I'm not aware of any tire manufacturing going on. But in the United States, I'm not too sure. I mean, we have brand names, Firestone, Michelin, but I really don't know where they manufacture them. Goodyear, I mean, you hear about Goodyear plants throughout the United States. So I assume that the Goodyear plants in the United States are possibly making tires, but they could be they also make like rubber hoses, and they make other products. So it's possible that maybe the Goodyear plants that are around the United States are making other items and maybe not tires, but yeah, we possibly could. But I would imagine maybe a majority of our tires maybe are coming from overseas. So But that's in general with most products in the United States. So much comes from overseas now. So we become dependent on overseas. How is the new car supply and pricing these days? Well, in the state of Utah, new car supply, just about every dealership that I drive by, inventory is very low, very, very low for new vehicles. I mean, I see their used section has vehicles, but when it comes to new, most manufacturers are still very, very short on new vehicles. So, yeah, I haven't seen it if it has improved in Utah, very slightly, but it's hard right now in Utah to drive into a new dealership and purchase a new vehicle. I mean, there are some vehicles there, but the picking will be very slim. And if you need certain options and certain colors, or it might be tough. My sister-in-law just purchased a F-150 truck 2 months ago, 3 months ago, new one. And the dealership she went to had 3 F-150s for her to choose from. That was it. Just 3. So, yeah, very quiet. Okay, so also, and this doesn't apply, well, this does apply to the state of Utah, but it applies all around the country. It's an article that caught my attention. Pet peeve of mine: Airbnb to make prices clearer after user complaints of hidden fees. So Airbnb rates will be more clearly defined. And this, I'm not really just picking on Airbnb, but I think that hidden fees, extra fees is the American way now of making a profit from companies. That's it. Really, it's a pet peeve of mine. You go to do something, you go to purchase something, there's a convenience fee and a stocking fee and this fee and a talk to a person fee. And next, you know, that $100 item has $10, $15 worth of fees on top of it. And then, of course, you got sales tax on top of it. And the $100 item now costs you $130. So, yeah, it's been a pet peeve of mine. So Airbnb is going to try to clean that up and make it a little better. All right. Do you prefer to shop at Costco or other membership-based stores? Do you think it's worth the money? Okay, I have a membership at both stores, Sam's Club and Costco. I think both stores are very similar. I don't have a preference. Sometimes Sam's Club has items that Costco does not have. So I keep both memberships. So I do think there's a savings. The items that I purchase, I find that if you're purchasing vitamins, like I buy Prilosec at Costco and Sam's Club, considerable savings I find. Any kind of vitamins, I just bought some zinc for the winter months, considerably less. Stuff like coffee, I find is less. I don't know if the meat is less, but I do like Costco's chicken. You can get 3 pounds of chicken, but they're individually wrapped, so you can cut them and just have 1 pound. I do like that feature. I probably pay more than buying it in a big packet at a grocery store, but I do like how they package their chicken. So I'm a fan of the Costco chicken. I do think it's worth the money, though. And I think many people in Utah think you go to Costco and Sam's Club and they're busy. The stores are busy. Do you see home price in Logan leveling off any time in the near future? Now, 2 parts, two questions. So Logan, Utah. let me tell you what's going on in Logan, Utah, and what I see from a outsider's point of view. And I'll talk about the housing market a little bit. Logan, Utah, to me, population growth is going to continue and probably even pick up space. And this is the backing I have for that. I was just asking a local Snap-on dealer, because they've taken over a route. A friend of mine has taken over a route in Logan, Utah, and I asked him about the numbers and stuff like that. And their research they do is showing continued growth. But I also noticed by the stores that are going in, Costco's going in right now, should open, I don't know, within the next month or two. So Costco only moves into an area where they can supply a big store. They can get enough volume out of that store. Otherwise, they don't move into areas. That's my feeling with Costco. They do a lot of research. So their research must be telling them that is going to be an area that's going to see incredible growth. But it's not only that store. In-N-Out Burger is now in Logan. They must be seeing incredible growth or growth opportunities in the future. Dutch Brothers Coffee, another company, just moved in. I've heard rumors that Raising Cane Chicken franchise is moving into Logan. That's just some of the stores that have been built this year or going into next year. So I think Logan, Utah will continue its growth based off what some of the big companies are doing. So they are investing a lot of money into Logan. There are car dealerships in Logan that are growing and expanding. I was just there last Saturday, and with the Powerball numbers going up, so I decided to run into Idaho to the border and going down North Logan, down Main Street. There is a considerable amount of car dealerships that have remodeled, expanded, or built new dealerships on the new car line. So they must be feeling like it's also going to grow, and they're willing to spend. I mean, you're looking at millions of dollars on a car dealership that they've invested. So I see a lot of growth everywhere you go. And well, the third thing, I have a commercial project going in Logan. So I believe there is growth. So I'm investing money with other investors into the Logan area myself. So, and I've done some research myself, and I feel it's going to grow. Now, I don't do the research of the big companies like Costco does. So as far as home prices go, as far as leveling off, I don't see a reason why Logan would level off under normal market conditions. The whole state of Utah, I don't see us level off or let me say decreasing a considerable amount. Leveling off, yes. But as far as decreasing throughout the state of Utah, possibly no. Now, the exception to that might be Southern Utah. And the only reason I say Southern Utah would be if we go into a recession. Maybe we're in a recession right now. I'm a little nervous. I think personally, I think the recession is starting. You are seeing where Twitter laid off half their employees. Now, we can say that's because Elon Musk bought the company. Okay. Facebook just announced 11,000 layoffs in the tech industry. 11,000 in the tech industry. That is a lot. And the tech industry has been one of the hottest job growths in the last however many years. So if we go into a recession, areas like Southern Utah, which typically is, there's quite a few people have second homes down there, vacation homes during a recession. They normally get hit harder. Some people will walk away from vacation homes before they walk away from their primary residence. So it's an area to keep an eye on. And that's not happening at the current moment, by the way. But in general, Utah's growth is, by all the experts, will continue growing. There's always a need for housing. People have to live somewhere. So long term, real estate looks good in the state of Utah. Now, that can all change if we go into a recession. If interest rates continue climbing, which I think the Federal Reserve got an eye-opener this morning. If not, they should. The CPI numbers were released and it was below expectations. So basically means that inflation is slowing down. So there may not be a need to raise interest rates more. And we'll see how that goes. We'll see how the CPI numbers go next month, the following month. But this is the first CPI number we've seen in a long time that is actually like good news. But if interest rates climb, we go into recession, we get more job losses, considerable amount of job losses, then the whole real estate industry will suffer. No jobs, people aren't going to buy homes, or not no jobs total, but lower amount of jobs, people losing their jobs can change the housing market. So people can go into foreclosure, homes can get repossessed, people can walk away from homes. When that happens, it affects pricing. So where we're going on that front, who knows? Maybe we're going into a recession. Maybe it'll be short-lived. Maybe we'll pop out. Who knows? Maybe interest rates will stay where they're at now. If interest rates stay where they're at, and we have like a leveling of interest rates, and possibly interest rates dropping a little. I mean, they've been bouncing up and down here all week, but we could see some stabilization in the housing market. But through the winter, who knows? But I see Logan as an area. I call it it's like a hidden gem. Not many people know about Logan, Utah, but people who go to Logan, Utah fall in love with it. So I'm a college football fan. I love going up there. I watch, I have season tickets to Utah State. I love my trips up to Logan. It's a great area. Logan, I can only talk, positive. I love that area. I voted too. Mail-in ballot for me. Have you seen price dropping for housing price of Utah? And what is the top growing cities in Utah? Okay. Yeah, home prices have dropped. So we are down our high was somewhere around April or May. I would say statewide, we're down about 8 to 10%. Since about April, May, June time period. So will we go any further? I think it goes back to the last question. Depends what we do with interest rates and jobs and some of those other items. So, yeah, we'll see. Thank you, sir. My wife and I moved from the Provo-Orem area to South Carolina. I've been trying to move back for a good 10 years. Oh, I figured Logan would be a good fit for us. Yes. I guess my question for you would be, what took you to South Carolina? I'm always curious, people who leave the state of Utah, on why they, left the state of Utah. Did they not like it? And that's fine. Or it was maybe, job, or kids live in a certain area, but yeah. When you're talking Provo-Orem and you're talking Logan, Utah, I mean, they're two opposites. Provo-Orem, busy, lots of traffic. It's a busy area, especially now. If you haven't been to Provo-Orem in 10 years, you would probably be shocked. 10 years ago, areas like Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain were there, but they didn't have the growth. Now they've got growth out there. Well, they've run out of room in Provo-Orem, so you've got to go somewhere. But comparing it to Logan, Utah. Logan, Utah is country living. There's no, I mean, it's still small town community. It's an area that I'm in Logan, Utah, and people will actually have conversations with me, assuming that I'm a Logan, Utah resident. I don't live in Logan, Utah, but I sell real estate in Logan, Utah. They make you feel like community. It's still a farming community. I personally like that feeling. You just get outside of town and you see farms, whether you're going north, south, west, east. Well, not east because you're on the mountain, but you run into farmland and you see people farming, and you're literally just outside of town. And so you have that country feeling, but Logan has just about everything that you would want, whether it's doctor's offices. Now they have a Sam's Club, they got a Costco coming, restaurants. It's a college town, recreational areas galore, plenty around that area. But yeah, it's definitely different than the Provo-Orem, Utah area. So the in-laws, oh, gotcha. We loved it. Loved Utah, I'm assuming. I'll take it. Loved Utah. Yeah, that's quite a move from Utah to South Carolina. That's from one part of the country to the other. But yeah. Yeah, it's great. Great area. Nothing wrong with Provo-Orem. It is different than Logan. But then again, Logan does not fit the bill for a lot of people. If you work in Salt Lake City, where most of the jobs are probably located, Salt Lake City area, Salt Lake City and the military base, and you live in Logan, I mean, that commute would be pretty much impossible. You're a solid 2 hours to Salt Lake City from Logan. So not many people are willing to drive 2 hours and 2 hours back, 2 hours, 2 hours back. So, yeah, I mean, I run into it occasionally. So, I sold a man's home in Logan that worked for the government, and he had to drive to Salt Lake City every day. And I asked him, why'd you do it? And he goes, we just love Logan. We have always loved Logan. And he was actually moving to Washington, D.C. to take a higher up position, but his goal was to retire back in Utah. And I assume it'd probably be in the Logan, Utah area, because when he was here, he saw a lot of the state, and I don't think it didn't seem as if he had any interest in moving anywhere close to Salt Lake City. All right. Any more questions this evening? We've had some great questions. I really appreciate it. And we will continue again next week. I enjoy doing the Thursday evenings. I do it from my home, so it's very convenient. I have nowhere to drive to, so it's always really nice. Yes. I spend my day in the car quite a bit, so it's nice to wind down here in the basement. Okay, I will see everyone next week. I appreciate all the questions. Thank you. Take care.